Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's Craig here again. Today is Saturday, May the 16th. I don't know what time it is. It's probably afternoon. Yeah, it's 1:30 in the afternoon now. You don't see it, so I'll get it. Scoot this back a little bit. This here is the 350. Done a little video on it. Lost its muffler. One of the bolts was missing, top cover was melted, and the oil cap had been broken, was leaking. I got it back together. I'm going to let it set for a day. I put a little bit of Loctite on these muffler bolts, so I want that set up for about 24 hours. Also, I cleaned it up a little bit because it was really filthy dirty. When I took the pull start cover off of it, there's how I found the kill wire. Somebody looks like they had taken and twisted it back together. So I took and made up new kill wire, laid it in place. So now it's going to be good. Here's the old oil cap that come off of it. Sharpened the chain up for the guy. Kind of looked like he had hit rocks in the ground or something. Had the points knocked off of all of them. So I've got him all. Don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. I just put a typical 60-30 cut on it with a 10-degree tilt. But here, I hope you, it also needs a new clutch drum because it's got the spur sprocket and the spur sprockets wore out. But this bar, there's, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But man, there's, here my fingernail catching, there's a ledge on that that's got to be at least a 32nd of an inch on both sides. But what's really amazing, if you look down the bar, I don't know if you can see that, one side is actually worn down farther than the other on both sides of the bar. So one rail is, he's run it so hard that he's got one rail wore down farther. So I don't know if that'll show up. I hope it does. I think that's showing it right there. But he's going to need a new bar. That's why I didn't put the bar back on. He probably, like I said, he probably also ought to put a new clutch drum on it. Whether he converts over to the rim sprocket or keeps it on the spur sprocket, one or the other. But this video is actually about this 455. Let me try to get this a little centered here. This is the Husqvarna 455. Guy brought it in, said the last time it ran, the last time we run it, it run good. Been 2 or 3 years since it had been started. Pulled it out of hibernation, filthy dirty, and I've cleaned it up. I've got the fuel lines out of it. I've got the intake blocked off, and I've already got the muffler blocked off, and I got my plug down in the pulse line. Now that is a new pulse line on there. I did replace it. Here's the old one right here. Also, this was the main fuel line. I'm not even sure. (61439/B) is the number on it. It's straight. Here's the original fuel line that goes in it. It's a curly fuel line. Number on this is 591375201. That is a Husqvarna part number. Also, that line and the return line, I talked about this, said I'd show it to you. Goes through little bushings. These are just little rubber grommets. They're called bushings. 580457501. It's a grommet fuel line. That's what they're calling it here. In the IPL, they're calling it a bushing. But them two little rubber grommets go down into the tank. And them two positions right there one for the feed line, one for the return line. And that's what seals the rubber hose against the tank, because the hole in the tank is bigger than what the hose is. But that's a little bit later on. Right now, what we're going to be doing is pressure testing and vacuum testing the crankcase to make sure that it's integral, make sure that it's not leaking. I've already got it set up. I didn't want to bore everybody with the time it takes to, block this off, just get it set up. So I'm going to pull about 8 pounds of pressure, or put about 8 pounds of pressure on it. And the specs call for 3 pounds over 30 minutes. If it loses more than 3 pounds, excuse me, not 30 minutes, 30 seconds. If it loses more than 3 pounds over 30 seconds, it's a fail. If it loses less than 3 pounds over 30 seconds, then it's a pass. And that's right out of the service manual. The service manual calls for 4 psi. I'm going to do about 8 because I want to put a little extra pressure on the seals, because it is an older unit, and if there is a potential, I want to make sure I find it. So we're going to pump this up, like I said, to about 8 psi. Probably got close to 9. So we're just going to sit here for a little bit. This thing was filthy dirty. I mean, the stuff that was packed in there, I blowed it out. There was crud and crap down inside the fuel tank here, where the old gas had just laid in there and kind of like slacked up, evaporated. Then there was old oil down in there. There was some sawdust fines down in there also. I got all that cleaned out. So I would say that we're probably at least 30 seconds, if not over 30 seconds at this point. We was right about 9. Now we're just right on 8. So we've only lost half a pound over 30 seconds or so. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of rock the crankshaft back and forth to kind of simulate that it's running. I'm going to try to move it back and forth, up and down. Same thing on the other side, up and down, back and forth. Turn it from the other side. And we are now about 7.5 pounds. So that's only come down roughly about a pound in this entire time, which I'm sure right now is well over a minute. So this is a pass, and the pressure that we're losing could be coming from any of these connections here. It may not even be coming from a seal. It could be coming from the decomp plug, around the O-ring here where it goes into the cylinder, around these threads, around this connection, around the threads right there. It could be leaking internally in my mini-vac here too. But like I said, right now we're just a tad more than 7. So it's not even 2 pounds over this entire time. Like I said, the specs was 3 pounds over 30 seconds. So this is a pass on the pressure side. Now we're going to pull a vacuum, and it's the same thing. So I'm going to pull about 8 pounds on it. Oops, guess I probably ought to switch that over to vacuum instead of leaving it on pressure. There's 5. Right there is about 8 pounds. So we'll start at 30 seconds. Hope you can see that. Get my thumb off the releaser. I might release it. We're still hanging right on about 8 pounds. Still hanging right there about 8 pounds. So I don't know where we're at on time, but we got to be coming up on 30 seconds. and it's not even dropped on vacuum here. It's still right on 8 pounds. So I'm going to say this is going to pass, but again, we're going to exercise the crank back and forth. We're going to try to go in and out, up and down. That right there, now we're probably about 7.5. Again, do the same to the other side. Up and down, in and out. Still right on about 7.5. I know that's been well more than 30 seconds. We're probably pushing 45, if not a little more. So I'm going to call this as a complete pass. So I know now that I can continue on with the reassembly of this saw. So here's the little bushing. Like I said, it's just a little rubber grommet, that's all it is. And see if I can't get a little light down in there so you can see. Right there underneath this plug in that pulse line, there's 2 holes. I hope you can see them. That's where these grommets go. And they just push right in. Sometimes they can be a little difficult to get in. Other times they go right in. Both of them are the same. 580-457-501 is the OE part number for them. You can reuse the old ones, but the old grommets are like gas lines. They shrink up, then they start leaking. And when they start leaking, you have all kinds of problems. This here is the fuel filter that come out of it. You can see where it was laying down in just oil. So this fuel filter is going to get replaced also. And that is a weighted filter. Like I said, the primer bulb, hard as a rock. Somebody had been in there once before because there's Tygon lines that was used for the return line and the purge hose from the carburetor to the purge bulb. And this was the original pulse line right here. And then, like I said, this was the gas line that come out of it. It's going to get replaced with the original spiral. Okay, from this point it's just a matter of pulling the lines in. Remember, the carburetor mounts on like this. So you've got a tube right there, a hookup, and then you've got a hookup tube over here. This is the fuel pump side of the carburetor. No, I'm wrong. This is the fuel pump side of the carburetor. So when this lays in like this, your feed line or your draw line out of the gas tank will hook up to this one. And when you exercise your purge bulb, it draws it through the carburetor, up through this exit on the carburetor, through the purge bulb, back into the tank. So always remember that if you're replacing fuel lines and you can't remember where they go, it's always from the tank to the carburetor, from the carburetor to the purge bulb, if it has one, from the purge bulb back to the tank. If it has no purge bulb, then you just eliminate that route and go from the carburetor to the tank. Okay. Hope this was informational for somebody. Everybody take care. See you in the next video.